Hey, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Giacomo Marchese, resident coach here at Vegan Proteins and natural bodybuilder. And today I want to talk to you about your plan. Is your plan too strict? Let's break it down. Here's the deal. When it comes to wanting to get results, you wind up planning out what you want to do and you focus on mapping out how you want to eat, how you want to train, and then you get into it. But have you taken stock and taken inventory of how you're exercising and how you're eating? And have you considered the fact that it is possible that you might be a little too rigid or a little too strict with your planning, with your programming? Have you even thought about why? Here's what I want to get into. The first thing that you want to think about is your diet and your training, right? So here are some examples of what to assess. Have you been focusing on calorie restriction? And how long and how hard have you been digging in your heels in the sand about eating a certain amount, calorie-wise? Or how about your workout? Are you insistent upon working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week without fail, training your chest 3 times a week, no matter what, no matter how sore your pecs are, for example? Rigidity around how you're training, how often you're training, what days of the week you're training, rigidity around how much you're eating calorie-wise and how much that needs to be on the weekdays versus the weekends. All these kinds of clear, hard boundaries that you can set for yourself so that you have a lot of programming that makes sense to get you results. Same thing with food groups, right? Like let's say that you are sticking to certain kinds of foods that are dense in protein all the time. Look, I'm not suggesting to not eat protein-dense foods. That's stupid. What I am recommending though is to take inventory of what kinds of foods that you're eating and consider, have you been stuck in your own way with the same eating patterns, eating say tofu and seitan every single day as your protein dense sources and preparing them the same way every single day for the last 3 or 4 months? Or maybe just not eating enough fruit, for example, or anything because you were trying to macro out and get the right amount of carbs. These are things you might not even be realizing you're doing, or maybe you do realize you're doing it, but you can justify it by being like, well, I'm gonna get results, and I'm gonna get results fast. That's why a strict plan is desirable, right? Because you are disciplined, you're getting results, and it's very clear what you need to do to get results. So imagine that. When you think about that kind of scenario, it's pretty easy to be like, well, I'm gonna keep doing this way. Why wouldn't I? Well, I can give you a couple of reasons. The easiest thing to consider is your mental health. I know a lot of people who would be like, listen, if I look the way I want to look, who cares about my mental health? Eventually, I'll be there. I'll be mentally unwell if I don't look the way that I want to look, but that's ridiculous logic, and hopefully you realize that. Also, think about the fact that the stress and the anxiety that you may wind up creating because you are having so much rigidity around your planning, that kind of stress and anxiety that can be created because of being so rigid can actually wind up backfiring on you as far as how you feel. And if you're not feeling up to par and up to snuff and your mental health is suffering, well, it doesn't matter how much discipline you have, friend. Guess what? You're probably gonna fall off, and then you're gonna wind up blaming yourself and like just kind of like wanting to like give yourself a swift kick in the butt and say, I just need to do this, I just need to focus, I just need to find a way, I just need to be disciplined. It would be nice if we fit into boxes like that as people and we could just be disciplined, mind over matter, willpower. It works until it doesn't, and it only works and only goes so far. But then the other thing, I mean, what is your quality of life? What is your relationship with food? What is your relationship with exercise, right? You can enjoy the fact that you're going after a goal, but are you really enjoying how you're training? When you have the fear of not being able to exercise, and let's say it happens once a week or twice a week and you're inflexible with your approach, how is that affecting you? Same thing with food. If you're worried about other kinds of meals, whether you're enjoying socially, for example, like if there's an event that happens and it's one meal on one day and it affects you 4 days later, and for like the month leading up into it, you're low-key worried about it, think about that, for example, or the people in your life, how they feel around you because of your eating habits or how you exercise. It's not about how much you do or don't eat. It's not about how much you do or don't exercise, or even necessarily when. It's your attitude, your approach, and how you wind up feeling about how you eat and how you exercise. And that's basically the difference between being rigid and strict with your planning and being a little more flexible. If you're flexible and you're intuitive with your approach and you're a little more dynamic, you can still be disciplined. You can still create hard rules. You can still follow through. You can still get exceptionally aggressive extreme results. And these kinds of results will last, but you don't have to be inflexible with yourself and wind up being so rigid and so strict that you wind up missing the forest for the trees. Those are the things that I think about. So other things to consider, you say to yourself, well, this is getting me somewhere, but it's going to backfire on me. Maybe this video is making a little bit of sense and maybe I should try to focus on perhaps being a little more flexible, but how do I loosen up that grip? Well, start to pay attention to your body's signals. For example, if you feel like you're teetering on the brink where you may get injured, take an extra rest day, as opposed to saying, well, this is the spreadsheet where I have my training. I'm going to train the next day because I have to, and I have to be able to train more, and I have to be able to train. Pay attention to your stress levels. Pay attention to how your body's feeling. Some days you're getting in 5 more reps than you normally would. Some days you're getting 5 less reps than you normally would. These are things that are not going to make or break you long term. You want to be in this game long term. Consistency and routine are only go so far, right? You also have to figure out what you're doing and when to pull back a little bit, and of course when to push harder, right? You may be doing something and not pushing hard enough. That happens too. Other stuff to think about, looking at how you're meal prepping, looking at your progress in other kinds of ways, in other kinds of areas. Yes, fitness is probably a very important part of your identity, or you want it to be, but how are you doing in other areas of your life? What do the other buckets that you want to not be empty look like in your life? Are you focused on other areas that can keep you healthy outside of how you eat and how you exercise? You're staying hydrated? Are you sleeping enough? Let's say you're in a relationship. Are you engaging with your partner, for example? Are you finding other ways to enjoy yourself? And oh yeah, are you auditing how you're exercising and how you're eating and thinking about how that's affecting you stress-wise, anxiety level-wise, and also if you're feeling fulfilled with your eating patterns and the types of foods you're eating and the way that you're like stocking your fridge and your pantry, for example, or the way that you're training or where you're training. All these things can change. You don't have to be married to a specific gym or a specific meal plan or even a specific set of macros. There's a lot that you can do to change things up. Just remember, if you don't think about stuff like this, eventually your plan may inevitably set you on a path where you're going to wind up regressing or resenting what you're doing, or just like not being a fun person to be around, even for yourself. And you might not even realize it until you take a second and think about it. So again, this isn't about pushing harder and getting better at what you do as an athlete. It's about making sure you do it in a healthy way so you can in fact get better. And that's the benefit of it all. So with all that, I would love to hear your thoughts, your experiences with rigid, strict planning, and whether or not you've gotten to a place where perhaps you're like, oh, this is too strict, but what do I do now? I'd love to have conversations like this. You can leave the comments below in the comment section. We will be here for you. Oh, and also stay tuned because we have some upcoming videos on some new topics like macros versus micros and the difference between carbs and nutrients and how that all comes together. And if there's anything else that you want us to talk about, let us know. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the like button, comment below, stay in touch with us. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, share it.